The most common oil leak on this engine is through the oil separator. So in this video I'm going to show you what you can do to fix that. You can see the oil separator on top of the valve cover. And if you have a closer look, you can actually see that this cover will come out if you want to. You just hold it on by these clips around. And this is what I'm going to do next. With a pick, try to pry out and release those clips. And down here you can see some of the components of this separator. You've got this rubber valve with a spring. So as you can see, this valve will sit like this, and once those gases have enough pressure, the valve will be pushed up and the air will be able to travel through this intake hose, ideally without the oil. So it's important for this valve to be in good condition and not cracked. Now let's put this apart and take out the oil separator and see how it works. And the oil separator will come out. Now if you have a closer look on the other side of the oil separator, you can see this spiral like a snail through which the air will travel together with the oil, and hopefully the longest this way it is, the more oil will be lost over time and therefore will return back into the camshaft area. And if any oil still arrives here, as you can see there is oil here, it will go hopefully through that hole, which will go through this port here, which has a very small hole. As you can see, that's a very small hole down there compared to the input hole, which has direct access to the camshaft area. And therefore, if you open the valve cover on this engine, you can see that there are extra restrictions through this point, so the oil will not travel back. So the long story short is that the quality of the oil will determine if this oil separator is clogged or not. On this engine the quality of the oil is medium. I will not say the best, but it's not the worst either. So this oil separator still works good, but these gaskets down here are pretty worn up and they don't seal properly, therefore allowing for all this leak to happen here, especially this one here, the small one. Make sure that the thickness is enough to seal here. So next I'm going to clean very well this area so I can see if there are any further oil leaks in the future. Also, I will replace these O-rings or gaskets with the new ones. So let's make it from this to this. Well, it's not perfectly clean, but at least I can spot any oil leaks if they happen again. Down here is another gasket which seals basically the injector side, so you won't get any oil in there. If your oil separator, the plastic side, is clogged up, then just give it a proper clean and make sure that through this point, out to this point, the air can circulate. And finally, if this rubber valve is broken, then you need to buy a new oil separator, because you cannot just replace this part as far as I know. And from this point, just install the separator back. Also inspect the PCV hose for cracks or any... Also inspect the PCV hose for cracks. It shouldn't be brittle, should be still flexible. As I said, the oil makes the rubber to get hard over time, so it's important that this hose is flexible. As you can see down here, there are some beginnings of cracks. Now before ending this video, it's worth to mention that these oil separators are not so efficient when the engine is under a load and revving up on a high RPM. Therefore, it's a good idea to install one of these oil catch cans, which will basically redo the job of the oil separator one more time. It will take the air which comes out of the oil separator and it will filter it one more time, separating the oil from the air. It's quite easy to install. You just have to make a cut in here and then connect the oil catch can at the end of these two hoses. Usually they come with all you need, all the adapters and stuff. Now this particular one is not going to be for this car, it's going to be for another one. And yeah, in general, it's a good idea to invest in this if you want to get rid of the oil in your intake manifold, especially on these direct injected engines, because once that oil travels all the way, it will get stuck and clogged on the valves. However, keep in mind that this is only one point through which the oil can travel into the intake manifold. The second one is the turbocharger, and there is another story about that. Alright, so that was pretty much it about the oil separator on this car. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.